Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Bill. We're in the fantasy trip, The In the Labyrinth by Steve Jackson Games. We are continuing the IQ spells. We are on IQ 13 spells. So we're going to read what spells you could select if you had an IQ of 13 as a wizard, or if you wanted to pick one as a non-wizard. Remember, wizards buy these spells at 1 IQ point each, where a non-wizard would spend 3. So, without further ado, we're into IQ 13 spells. The first one is a 3-hex wall. It's a conjuration or creation magic, like a wall spell, but affecting only 3 connected hexes. Cost 4 mana. The 4-hex image, another creation spell, lets a wizard create an image, see images and illusions, of anything no greater than 4 hexes in size. Cost 2 mana. Control Elemental. It's a throne spell. Puts any one elemental under the wizard's control as long as the spell is maintained. An elemental gets a 3-die saving roll against its IQ, which is 8. When the spell first hits, if it makes the roll, the spell is ineffective. Most elementals will simply leave if a control spell fails, but a fire elemental may well attack, and any large elemental might feel hostile. Make a reaction roll. A controlled elemental will follow most orders, but gets another 3-die saving roll if given an order which is likely to result in its own demise. Mana cost to wizard is 3 plus 1 every minute, so every 12 turns. The spell is maintained after the first minute. If the elemental has a strength greater than 30, double its cost. A wizard may control more than one elemental, but they must be of the same type. This is true even if he created the elementals himself. Control Person. It's a throne spell. Puts any one human or humanoid, natural or summoned, under the wizard's control for as long as the spell is maintained. If target was an image or illusion, it disappears. A controlled person will follow most orders, including orders to attack his former friends. Note, target of the spell gets an immediate saving roll against his IQ on 3 dice and another roll if ordered to harm himself. Harm a loved one. Reveal the king's location. In general, orders like open that door will not trigger a new saving roll, but tell us where the treasure is will. This spell does not work on animals or dragons. Costs 3 mana, plus 1 each turn the spell is maintained. Curse is a throne spell. The curse is a general foul-up spell cast at one individual. It lasts until removed by Remove Thrown Weapons spell. A individual may not know that he is cursed, although it's usually easy to figure out. But a Detect Magic spell will detect it, and an Analyze Magic spell will give its nature. For every 2 mana the cursor puts into the curse, every die roll the victim makes is increased by 1 if the victim wanted to roll low, or decreased by 1 if the victim was rolling high. A 6 mana curse would change every roll by a total of 3 points. Fireproofing, throne spell, makes its subject immune to all effects of all kinds of fire and flames. His clothes and all the things he carries will also be unaffected. Costs 3 mana to cast, plus 1 per turn to maintain, for each hex of size of the subject. Flight. It's a throne spell. Lets subject temporarily fly. See flight rules under movement. Any attack on a flying 1-hex creature is at a -4 dex. A creature flying by this spell has a movement allowance of 12. Such a creature will not be used to flying. So if he or she attacks while in the air, his or her dex will be adjusted by a -2 for a regular physical attack or magic spells cast on another. and a -4 for attacks with physical thrown or missile weapons. This is in addition to the -4 dex mentioned above if a flying creature is the target of the attack. If one flying wizard aims a staff stroke at another, his dex is -6, -2 because he's flying, and -4 because his target is. This is clearly not an effective way to attack. Costs 3 mana to cast, +1 per turn flying. I would say, given enough training, if a wizard wanted to train enough in it, or people that want to be subjected to the wizard's flying spell wanted to train enough in it, I could reduce that flying penalties at least by half in both respects in my game. But I'd probably have them take a talent for it after that training period. Open Tunnel. It's a thrown spell. Turns 1 hex of rock or any other material into air. The effect of this spell is permanent. A smaller area may be affected if the wizard wishes, and the wizard may control the shape of the area. Costs 10 mana. It is possible to kill with this spell by turning all or part of a foe into air. However, the spell is not instantaneous. If this spell is directed against a living being, that creature has a 3-die roll against dex to escape. If the roll is successful, the target creature immediately jumps back 1 hex out of the way. Otherwise, he or part of his body vanishes. The GM assesses damage done by a partial vanishing, except in the case of giant slime, goo, or truly enormous creatures. This effect will be very severe. Scrying. The scrying spell is used to see what is happening somewhere else, right now. Scrying into the past is very difficult, and scrying into the future is just as risky as any other form of fortune telling. Do not depend upon it. A perfect reflective surface is required, and some mirrors are enchanted for better scrying, but other things can be used. A silver bowl of clear water for quick visions only. A cauldron of molten silver or other white metal. Lead has terrible poisonous fumes, and mercury has its own hazards, but either can be used in a pinch. Gallium works if you can find it. A perfectly flat and freshly polished sheet of solid silver. Beware, the iron law of scrying is that he who sees is seen. Any scrying tool can open you to the occult vision of others. Therefore, the experienced wizard will empty his silver bowl, cover his mirror, or let his gallium cool to a rough surface. Roll versus IQ, not dex. Scrying is difficult, requiring at least a 4 dice versus IQ roll. Add 1 die if the target is within wards or a pentagram. Add 1 die if there is an unbroken protective ring of silver around the place you seek to see. However, ignore all wards and subtract 1 die if there is a mirror or scrying tool in the place you are trying to see. The extent of the vision depends on the margin by which your roll is made. 1 to 2 is a quick glimpse vision only. If you fear your mastery is too great and don't want to spend strength, use a bowl of water as your mirror and your success will be only at this level. 3 to 4, 10 seconds of sound with a single static image. 5 to 6, 30 seconds, sound only, or 3 seconds of vision, your choice. 7 to 8, 1 minute, sound only, or 10 seconds of vision, your choice. 9 to 10, 1 minute, vision and sound. 11 and up, 3 minutes, vision and sound. Only 1 attempt per subject per day. Mana cost is equal to the margin of success, so a quick glimpse costs little, but a detailed vision may have the caster unconscious. Slippery Floor. Thrown spell. Makes the floor over 1 megahex extremely slick. So that'd be 15 feet across, circle. When any figure enters the slippery area, a player who casts the spell reveals it. Any figure in the hex made slippery, or any figure entering a slippery hex, must make his saving roll, 3 dice against Dex, to avoid falling in that hex. If the figure then enters another slippery hex, in the same turn it must roll again, and so on. And even if a figure simply stands still in a slippery hex, it must make the saving roll to avoid falling. A figure which falls in a slippery hex may try to stand next turn, but must make a 3-die dex, of course. It may choose to lie still or to crawl out. This requires no dex roll. To figure the range of this for the spell, or any other thrown spells covering 1 megahex, count the hex from the wizard to the center of the megahex involved. This is the dex penalty. This spell does not affect images and illusions. Lasts 12 turns unless renewed. Costs 3 mana. Staff 3, Staff of Striking. Like Staff 2, except that its occult attack may strike a figure 2 hexes away in any direction from the wizard. And the 2-hit roll is made at a dex plus 3. Also, the staff's occult attack now bypasses the armor or natural defenses of its target. Magical defenses such as Stoneflesh still operate. Sticky Floor. Makes an area of floor 1 megahex in size magically sticky. The only effect is on figure's movement. Any figure entering a sticky floor area stops immediately. Each turn thereafter, his movement allowance is reduced to 1. A figure with a strength over 30 has a movement allowance of 2. An area cannot be both slippery and sticky due to magic. The second spell cast will fail to work. This spell affects images and illusions. This effect lasts 12 turns unless renewed. Costs 3 mana. Stoneflesh, Thrown Spell. Gives subject body the power to act as armor, stopping 4 hits per attack. The protective effect of Stoneflesh is cumulative with any other natural or magical hit-stopping ability, armor, fur, etc., of its possessor, but not with iron or diamond flesh. There is no way to tell if a figure is protected by this spell except to hit it or use Reveal Magic. Costs 2 mana to cast, plus 1 each turn the spell continues. Stop. It's a thrown spell. The victim of this spell has a movement allowance of 0 for the next 4 turns. He or she may do anything else, but may not move to another hex under any circumstance. Costs 3 mana. Summon Gargoyle. Brings a regular gargoyle, strength of 20, dex of 11, IQ of 8, movement of 8 on the ground, movement of 16 in the air. Its hands do 2 dice damage. Its skin stops 3 damage. And it's here to serve the wizard. Costs 4 mana, plus 1 each turn the gargoyle stays. Telekinesis. It's a thrown spell. Lets a wizard move objects by the force of his mind. Objects may be picked up, thrown, etc. A wizard may do anything with the telekinesis that he could do of his own body if he were over there. However, the object manipulated must be where he can see it. Exception. A wizard with telekinesis could use it to untie himself even if he were in the dark or his hands were tied behind him. For purpose of governing telekinesis, the GM should assume that the wizard has one invisible body, which he may place and use anywhere he can see or touch. It is possible to use a weapon with this spell, but any weapon controlled by telekinesis is at an extra -4 dex. Costs 2 mana per turn. And that ends the IQ 13 spells. There's a lot of interesting ones there. Let me know what you all think about them in the comments below. Until we all game again, guys.